Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the SkySwitch University webinar series. This is Emily Vasquez of SkySwitch, and on behalf of the entire team, I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time out of your day to join us in learning more about the hospitality solutions offered by DuVoice and how they can help you thrive in the hospitality vertical. I'll be moderating today's webinar, and I'm very pleased to welcome today's presenter, Andy Lehman, Sales Director at DuVoice. On this webinar, we also have Jason Jones of SkySwitch with us. Today, Andy will be presenting a slide deck, and afterward, we'll hold a Q&A session. So I encourage everyone out there on this call today to type any questions into the questions widget section of your GoToMeeting control panel at any point during this webinar. As a reminder, we're recording today's webinar, and this recording will be posted onto our YouTube channel and emailed out to everyone here with us this afternoon. So at this point, I'd like to turn the webinar over to Andy. The floor is all yours.
Thanks, Emily, and I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. We really feel like we have a great opportunity with SkySwitch and DuVoice in hospitality, and so I'm going to hopefully give you guys a very good overview of our solution together, kind of talk a little bit about hospitality, the industry, to kind of give you some tips on where we see opportunities and kind of talk about the product and how it works with SkySwitch. So I'll get started and we will go from there. All right, so just a little bit of history on who is DuVoice. DuVoice, we're privately held. We're based out of Kirkland, Washington. Been around since 1990. Hospitality really has been our focus throughout all of these years. We've got thousands of different installs worldwide, so everywhere from South America to Europe to the Far East. And we work with both cloud solutions and premise-based solutions. And so clearly today we're going to be talking about SkySwitch's cloud solution and where we fit into that. So, talking about kind of hospitality as an opportunity for you guys as resellers. The ideal property that I view here, or the majority of them, you're going to find about 120 room properties, anywhere from, let's say, maybe 80 to 120 rooms, fits into maybe the sweet spot for us together. And so, and Holiday Inn would be an example of that. As an industry, there is a very limited number of hosted choices out there, people that are selling hosted phone services into hotels. So I think, we're kind of at the, let's say, starting point, at least close to the starting line here. So I think there's opportunities for us to go, hotels, to go out there and really sell our solution together. Hotels are certainly asking about hosted, and they want to know more about it and how it's going to work. And so I think together we have a really good solution for that. Some of the hospitality industries that DuVoice is certainly strong on, casinos, Native American casinos across the country.
Hey, Andy, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
Are you moving through your slide deck? Because it doesn't seem to be moving, or have you moved through there yet?
Oh, yes, I have. So.
Have you been seeing it move, Emily? I just see the main slide myself. The DuVoice Hospitality Solution SkySwitch. That's all I see. I haven't seen any new slides. So, is anybody else out there in the audience? Yep, same here. I haven't seen it move either. Now it's moving. Okay. So we're at hospitality opportunities.
All right. Okay, so talking about the hospitality opportunities, where you'll find DuVoice and where we see our solution fitting in the best. You know, again, really any hotel. So this, if we look down the bottom here, the ideal property size between 80 and 400. That really encompasses about 98% of all the hotels in North America. And so, where to me our solution fits in, or at least the DuVoice solution, is when somebody has a property management system, and that is typically above 80 rooms. And so I'm going to talk about that here too. If we look at a hotel business as an overview on how they're different for us, selling phone systems and hospitality systems connected to PBXs, they differ because they have what's called a property management system, or PMS. And this really runs the hotel. It's connected to their online reservation system. If they have any bars and restaurants, it's connected to that. It's really connected to all aspects, the doors, the key cards to get in the doors, really all aspects of the hotel. So it's kind of the lifeblood of a hotel. And so DuVoice is going to have an interface to that, and I'll talk about that coming up here. Also, hotels have an unusually large number of analog phones, being room phones. And so that is different, when we talk about a hosted solution too. So most hotels that are existing don't really want to switch out their room phones. So I would say in general, they don't. They want to use what they have existing. New hotels is a great opportunity to sell them a new hospitality phone that's SIP-based, so that makes it easier. But going into existing properties, you'll see that they want to keep those room phones. On occasion, you'll get a customer that wants to update them. Let's say they're 20 years old or something like that. They want to update them. Certainly switching to SIP at that point is possible, assuming that the cabling is set up for that. So in general, it is, you're going to be dealing with analog room phones. Also, there's a small amount of staff, so that 120 room property, that's 120 rooms and maybe 10 staff phones. So a little bit different than your standard, business count. Long distance, that's something else. You're going to have the calls being made out are not going to be very high. You'll give them an opportunity to either just give it all free, domestic calls for free, or block the long distance. If they want to charge for long distance, we can also add call accounting to our solution. And then, overall, phones are still needed in the guest rooms. Primarily it's going to be used for calling down to the front desk, asking for towels or complaining, or maybe dialing 911. So the day of no phones in the rooms I don't see that in the near future, that's for sure. So talking about the DuVoice solution here, on what we provide the customer, really wake-up calls will be number one. These are automated wake-up calls. I'll talk about that in a moment. The connection to the property management system. We're going to do both voicemail for the staff phones and the guest room phones. We're going to obviously have that connection to the phone system as well, MAID codes, and then call accounting. We can be the host, so you can run a call accounting application on the DuVoice instance, whether it's a local PC that it's going to be provided by DuVoice or a VM solution. You can run the call accounting on the DuVoice. So common property management systems companies here in North America, there's quite a few. Oracle or Micros Opera is one of the most common here. All IHG properties or Holiday Inn properties use Opera, as well as several other, hotels. They're for sure the biggest. Choice has their own. Roomkey, Agilysys has Visual One, and LMS, that is the one for casino hotels. Springer Miller, basically any property management system or PMS for a hotel that has what they call a PBX interface will work with our solution. And so DuVoice to these PMS companies is going to require an interface, and it's going to be a PBX interface because we're going to do PBX type control to the SkySwitch. And I'll get into that here coming up too. So again, we've been in business since 1990. These are some of our larger properties that you see here. But whether it's a large property, a small property, we're going to be able to fit in and size our product together appropriately for the size hotel here. So how the kind of application works, DuVoice is going to be the middleware between that property management system and the SkySwitch. And so what happens when the guest checks in, the front desk, they're connected to their property management system. The PC is right at the front desk. You come in, you check in. I'm going to turn on the room phone. I'm going to pass the guest name off to the SkySwitch. So when the guest calls from their room down to a phone that has a display on it, will display the guest name on their phone. I'll set the class of service. So if we're going to charge for long distance, we'll set the proper class of service. If we're just going to give long distance away, maybe in North America, we'll set that class of service for that. Upon check out, I turn off the room phone, so there isn't going to be any unauthorized calls being made, and then turn off the message waiting light if it was lit, if the guest didn't check their voicemail, and or turn off the message waiting light. Depending on where you're in the country, you might be asked for other language support. We have at least 18 languages, 4 of which can be included with our solution. So if somebody needs Spanish, these are user prompts. So guest room phone. So maybe we have a Spanish-speaking guest that wants the wake-up call prompts being played to them in Spanish. You can set that up through the PMS and the DuVoice, all of which would be included. So guest messaging, as I think most people know these days, you're not giving away, you don't tell the family, here's the hotel number, my room number. People are, contact you by your cell phone these days. So messaging or voice messaging from the outside world, really, you're not seeing that much anymore. And so where the voicemail is coming in is from the staff. And so whether that's in the form of a welcome message that would be automatically placed in the room mailbox upon check-in, saying, welcome to the Holiday Inn. This is Andy, I'm the GM, and if you have any questions, complaints, or comments during your stay, my extension is 1234. So that's the messaging you're going to see. Maybe there's group messaging where there's going to be maintenance being done. Maybe floor 2, the water's going to be turned off at 10 a.m. and you want to inform the guests with a voicemail as well as maybe a letter or note. But so you can send a group voicemail to the whole second floor, or however they want to have it separated. You can do that. So that's where the voicemail is coming from. As far as voicemail goes for staff phones, we're going to archive these messages for 7 check-in and check-outs. So if there's an off chance that somebody wants to retrieve a message, even after they check out, the front desk staff can accomplish that for them. Staff messaging, we have unified messaging that's included, so voicemail to email. There's no application needed. We work with any POP3 SMTP email package. And the 24-hour undelete, if the staff were not using voicemail to email, and say you go and listen to your voice message on your phone, you delete it, or hit the wrong button and it deletes it, and then you hang up the phone. We don't delete it forever. You can go back in and get messages within 24 hours. And then automated attendant, we typically will do that as well. For a hotel, auto attendants are pretty limited just by access to the front desk or maybe to a staff member. We'd never want to set up for security reasons where the outside caller could get to a room without going through a person. This for credit card stealing and that, fraud and that kind of stuff. You wouldn't want that to happen. So, wake-up calls. Wake-up calls, is certainly something that is requested the most. How they can be set are a few different ways. First off, the guest can set their own wake-up call. It'll be a button on their phone. They press the wake-up call or voicemail button, and then we talk them through setting the wake-up call. And also playback, your wake-up call is set for tomorrow at 7 a.m. The front desk staff can also use their phone using DTMF tones to set the guest wake-up call. That is probably an old school way of doing it, the old maybe Mitel SX50s and 200s. Years ago did it that way, so pretty inefficient. In-desk is a DuVoice product. It's a web interface. I'm going to show you that coming up. It's really a very convenient way for the front desk staff to set wake-up calls as well as manage the wake-up calls. I do also archive wake-up call information for 7 check-in and check-outs of a room as well, meaning if number one, let's just say a normal wake-up call, I'm going to try that, I think by default 4 times. If the guest doesn't pick up or we get a busy 4 times, that's going to be a failed wake-up call. I typically will call the front desk and play a recording that, room 102's wake-up call failed. I'm also going to identify that within in-desk. I store that information for 7 check-in and check-outs. So if a guest were to check out, leave, not say anything, be mad or they missed a flight or something like that, and call the hotel tomorrow and say, hey, I didn't get my wake-up call, I want you to pay for a night or something like that. The hotel staff can go in and see, number one, who said it, and was it failed or was it successful? If it was failed, why was it failed? Was it a ring, no answer, or busy? Also, on wake-up calls, I have a feature that doesn't get used very much, but it's a cool feature that we have kind of hidden. It's called a celebrity wake-up call. And so basically, it gives the guest an ability to set a wake-up call that might be set by a celebrity. So this happens in casinos a lot. So maybe it's a casino hotel where they have acts coming in and basically they would record it for them and say, this is Willie Nelson, as an option, and then Willie Nelson, when the wake-up call is sent, says, "Wake up, this is Willie Nelson, enjoy your day at the casino," or something like that. So it's kind of a cool feature that we have that's included as well. Group wake-up calls, let me just get into Indesk here. So group wake-up calls can easily be set within Indesk here. And Indesk, you can see, is a web tool that you can see all the pending wake-up calls for the day, and you can see the ones that were not answered, the rooms that are checked in, the status of the rooms. This is, again, a convenient way for the front desk to set these wake-up calls, monitor them. No longer do they have to print them off on a dot matrix printer, that type of stuff. So certainly a very nice feature that hotels really like. As far as housekeeping or maid codes, this is when housekeeping goes into the room. They pick up the phone. They're going to dial typically a 3-digit code like *63, followed by a 1, 2, 3, 4, changing the status of the room from dirty to clean, or maybe dirty to in process, meaning the housekeeper is in there cleaning, and then they do it again and change it from dirty or in process to clean. This goes to the property management system, or the PMS. So the front desk or the housekeeping managers can see the process or the progress of rooms that are clean. Maybe it's one that can now be rented and checked in, that type of thing. So gives them an easy way to kind of know what's going on with their housekeepers. Then I also have a minibar application. However, I got to say that minibars in the U.S. are very far and few between. So I doubt you're going to run into that application. Okay, so kind of showing you guys the DuVoice solution, how it's all mapped out, how the hotel is going to work, how we're connecting into everything here. My connection to the SkySwitch is going to use SIP ports. And these ports, my solution really ranges from 4 ports on up. And so that standard 120 room property with 8 staff phones, I'm going to use a 4-port solution. And these 4 ports are used for voicemail and wake-up calls. And so I can go anywhere from, again, 4 to, let's say, 64 ports. But you're trying to maximize the cost in these ports. Again, so, 120 room property, 4 ports. Let's say 180 room property, I'd probably do 8, 5. 320 room property, I'd probably do 8 ports. And so, number one, this is something that I can help you configure. But so our connection to the SkySwitch, again, SIP, the connection to the PMS or property management systems varies by company. It's either going to be an Ethernet or a TCP/IP connection or a serial connection. The DuVoice server, which is in the second to the left here, I am going to be this appliance on site primarily because the PMS, there's still, for some reason, a lot of serial connections out there. And the DuVoice, server itself comes with 2 serial ports connected to it or on it, as well as 2 NIC cards. So we don't necessarily need to know ahead of time what the PMS is going to be based on what I'm quoting you guys. And then everything else is pretty standard here. You've got your computers, your analog or SIP phones. So you will need these analog gateways to address the SIP phones. I think Grandstream, AdTran, AudioVox are some that stick out in my mind as ones that we've worked with in the past. Typically, you're looking for a 24 or 48 port solution that can be obviously as cost effective as possible. I can also be hosted in a cloud as well, or say run in a VM environment. I need a VMware running Windows Server 2016 currently. As far as professional services, really DuVoice will take care of the install of the DuVoice. You guys don't need to be DuVoice experts on, how the installation goes and that type of stuff. We're going to do the remote installation of the DuVoice product. You guys configure and do your normal SkySwitch side of things. You will need to do a kind of smart rack and stack for the DuVoice appliance, or installing it in a VM environment. But we're going to be there from start to finish. So we'll help if you guys are going to do a bench test type of solution. We'll make sure the interface to the SkySwitch and to the PMS is working. And then we'll also train the end user. So how to set the wake-up calls, how to get voicemail, that type of stuff. The main thing that's needed, we are going to need that PBX connection to the PMS. So we'll work together with you and the customer. These property management system companies sell direct to the hotels. So we'll help you together and say, let them know what interface that they're going to need. But the end user is ultimately responsible for getting that license or that updated license. And then scheduling, I guess, all three of us together, DuVoice, you guys, and the hotel on the cutover date, when they flip that PMS connection from their current PBX to the DuVoice solution. And then support, we will support you guys as well as the end user. Once things are up and running in a hotel, it's pretty maintenance free. There's not a lot of things that change on a daily basis as far as whether it's the property management system or the PBX for that matter. If it's a 120 room property, it's not like they're going to add, 2 rooms a month or anything like that. It's pretty much going to stay that 120 room property. Lastly here, before we get to the questions, Jason and I were talking earlier, we'd like to do an incentive specifically for the SkySwitch dealers here for this quarter, so Q2. For the first 5 sales that we have with the combination of our, 2 products, we'll take half off our normal cost. And so DuVoice sells through distributors like Jenny, Westcon, ScanSource, and Ingram. And so, again, the first 5 dealers that sell our solution in Q2, I'll take half off of your cost on it. So,
that's great.
My promotion and right.
So before we get into questions, I just wanted to kind of take some time to reiterate a couple of I would say interesting points of your presentation, Andy. As you can see from Andy's slide, they do 100%. It is a white glove installation. So they're going to be there with configuration. They're going to be there with well, let's start in the sales process. They're going to help you figure out the sales process, kind of how to present that. They'll work with you all the way through from A to Z to get these installations in, because they are very different. They are unique, and each one can be specifically unique to the hotel and to the PMS system that they're connecting to. So lean on Andy in the beginning here, and as you gain more and more experience and understanding of how to present, we're hoping that this will open this vertical up to the SkySwitch channel resellers. Getting into healthcare, getting into real estate, getting into hospitality, getting into a vertical, getting good at it is really the key to success, because a lot of other companies just don't do it, and they don't have any expertise in those areas. So if you can formulate it, lean on Andy to do it right and get it installed right, then that's a big part of the process. Number one. Number two, Andy doing this promo, so for the first 5 orders, getting 50% off. That's going to be huge for you too, because either you can give that as an incentive to the hotel, or you can give it to, or take it in as profitability for you for that learning curve you're going to have to go through. So, and there is going to be a learning curve. This is not for the faint of heart. Okay. So, but there's a lot of opportunity out there. One thing I want to talk about too is that DuVoice is seamlessly interoped with the NetSapiens platform, and we all know that SkySwitch utilizes NetSapiens as our core switch. So it is integrated there, and there are a ton of features that we go above and beyond what DuVoice might have within their portfolio of services and features and functionality, like business SMS and so forth. So I kind of look at hospitality as 2 different things. I got rooms and I got the business office. Well, could the business office utilize SMS? They certainly could. Would they want to utilize SMS? Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't you want to take a text message, coming into the main number or coming into the business office and communicating via SMS, messages, via email, or even having directory bots or keyword responders? So these are additional, I would say, features, functionality that you can put a layer on top of it. And again, we're going to have to work together to try to figure out best practices in accomplishing all this. So SkySwitch will dedicate some resources to you also. So if you're thinking about going out there and doing this and working with Andy, get me involved. I'll get some of the other staff involved, and we'll come together and we'll really try to knock these out for you guys. We're here to support you 100%. So, and I just wanted to let you know that that's what we wanted to do. If I can get I'm going to go ahead and make myself the presenter right now and show my screen. We support a lot of different phones out there. And there are some phones, I know Andy spoke about phones, and there's gateways that you can install to support those existing phones that are in a hotel. But you got new hotels that are going in every day. And getting those phones in there that are SIP phones, there are a lot of phones that are supported. What SkySwitch is willing to do for you to get and enter into this market is to do some hospitality user seat special pricing. This is going to be a new request form that we wanted to introduce to everybody, that you can fill out this form. Emily will send this link to this form so you all can fill this out. But the scope of this form is just to accommodate everybody out there, those resellers that require a special lower price on user seats, because it's low usage in hospitality and healthcare and assisted living. And it's a way for you to get into there at a lower price and not have to pay the higher user seat pricing that you commonly get on the SkySwitch platform. So it's going to be a flat $2 per user seat in any of these 4 environments: hospitality, healthcare, assisted living, and maybe even some other low volume calling scenario. Okay, so let's review the program terms and the requirements. We're going to run this through 2019 just to see how it goes. Okay. You're going to have to demonstrate the experience in selling, provisioning, installing, and supporting low volume environments, which means you're going to have to go in and sell that hospitality, sell that healthcare. Let us know that you have expertise in that area so we can dedicate the resources to help you, gain some traction in those areas. You're going to have to register every account to receive the special pricing. We just don't want any hanky-panky out there. If you want special pricing into one of these industries, then fill out the form, we'll review it, do a little research and say, okay, you'll get approved. And that amount of, within that domain, that amount of user seats will be at this new lower cost. Okay. So, and it's going to be limited one call path per extension for a maximum of 20 to 1 because it really supports that low volume calling scenario or environment. We're going to do 100 minimum user seats in a single domain. Again, this is more focused toward hospitality, hotel. Hotel rooms, 100, 150. Andy, what's a standard, what would you say a common number of rooms you would find in a hotel?
Yeah, like that Holiday Inn Express or Hampton would be a bad example, but like Choice properties, 100, 120, 140. Kind of depends on where you live, obviously.
Yeah. So we did a little research and we just didn't come up with that number. We did a little research and said, hey, you know what? Those types of hotels that are out there, the Expresses, the Choice hotels, and the Choice brand of hotels that are out there, 100, 140 to 150 is pretty common. You can get up to, and then you can scale up once you get experience in this market. You can scale up to those 200, 300, 400, 500 room opportunities too. Okay, this is at the lower end. All other service rider pricing is going to be applicable. DID, CNAM, 911, everything else, voicemail transcription, everything's going to be at its normal cost. Then we have approved devices here too. VTech, the 2210s, the 2421s, and the 2211s. Okay, those are going to be the supported phones. And then you have a 24-port IAD, the Mediatrix, that can go in and you'll use that IAD for, supporting the existing phones and the infrastructure that's in those hotels right now. You can layer in multiple 24 ports. You can put 5, 6, 7 of those in there if you wish to. Okay, so Emily will be sending this out to you for review. If you have any questions whatsoever about it, you can come right to me, shoot me an email, give me a phone call. You all got my business line, you got my mobile number. I think now we want to hop into the questions. Emily, if you don't mind, I'm going to take the questions real quick. Can I get a copy of the slide deck? Andy, are you willing to share a copy of that slide deck with the audience today?
Sure.
Fantastic. Okay, so Emily, we'll get that sent out to you, or a link to that when we send the recording of this this webinar out to everybody later on today. What is the cost of the implementation? So in a normal situation, let's just take for a scenario, Andy, it's a Choice hotel, 140 rooms. What would be a best practice, best business case cost of DuVoice to come in there and implement and install your middleware and install and get
just talking about quoting real quick here. And so what I'd like to do, is send you guys quotes for specific opportunities. And so it's really to just talk over the opportunity, maybe answer any questions. And this is clearly what I do all day, so I definitely know hospitality. But my quotes that come to you guys will have specific SKUs in there, and basically are going to include everything from installation to mailbox licensing to the port count, the turnkey, let's say appliance, remote installation, and typically a year of support. And so a number that, for like a 4-port solution for that 120 room property, with, again, remote installation and everything, is about $4,500 dealer cost on it for a 4-port. And then so, again, going up to 5, 6, 7, 8, that type of thing. So, we probably add about $400 per port after that.
Okay.
But again, I can easily put together quotes for you guys on specific opportunities. Maybe it's a higher end property that has, 100 rooms, but they've got 30 staff, or something like that. So, you're probably going to bump it up to 5 ports there instead. But $4,500 is your typical cost. And so the promotion, I can see a question here. So that, it would be, $2,250 or half off of that $4,500 would be the promo for the first 5.
Yeah, I think that's very attractive and very gracious of you to offer that, Andy. Thank you very much. I'm going to get into the next question here about school classrooms. Peter was asking about, can we get this special seat pricing for school classrooms? Yes, it's going to be applicable to the educational sector too. So if you run across those schools, and again, classrooms and the business offices, those are 2 different extensions. You would use a normal user seat in the business side because they're making inbound, they're taking inbound calls, they're making outbound calls. It's a general business extension. So you'd use a standard user seat for that, but the classrooms could be used in this hospitality user seat special pricing. Okay, that's a good question, Peter. Thank you. Let me get rid of that. Okay. Sean came over with a question, said Choice Hotels have a certification requirements for their franchises. Is DuVoice certified to take your products in there?
I would say yes. And so certifications, Choice has more of a brand standard than anything. So our solution absolutely for Choice properties. There is 2, Marriott and Hilton properties are the ones that certify PBXs and only allow certain PBXs in there. And so currently we're working with NetSapiens to get them certified in both Marriott and Hilton, but are not. So those 2 franchises, the Hilton and Marriott, would not be in play right now, but everything else is.
Okay, so we're moving that direction. I think the short answer here is that we're moving that direction, looking to do interop and get that done for Marriott, some certifications, but Choice is going to be okay. And SkySwitch doesn't need to be certified to go into those environments. It's really it's being able to get the PMS system in there and get all the functionality connected to their existing, or get DuVoice's middleware in there to connect to that property management system, and they can do that very well to Choice Hotels. So I think we're going to be okay there. Next question: What type of systems are hotels currently using, and is this a replacement type of service?
Yeah, I mean,
Andy.
So hotels, their opinion of phone systems are pretty low. It's no longer a profit center for them. It's something that they have to have. So realistically, these a lot of existing hotels are are limping along their old PBX as long as they can. And so we are going in there and replacing those existing phone systems quite often, certainly. So.
Okay. Next question is, how do you recommend selling this to hotels with pre-existing installations? What's a good pitch to get in the door and get the conversation started? Good question, John.
Well, to me, I think it's an overall approach on, hopefully you guys are selling some sort of dial tone or SIP where you can provide both maybe internet access, which is very important for hotels, and combine that with their phone service. I think that's, if maybe you can save them money on the PRI that they have that they barely even use anymore, or an old T1. Again, their phone system, typically things that break on an old, let's say Mitel, would be the voicemail, would be, that's typically something that these, 15-year-old computers are no longer, happy. So going in there and seeing what's working, what's not working, you can typically address that way.
Yeah, and when it comes down to a sales pitch too, you're really just you're selling the new technology too. You can go in doing a demonstration of the phone system and talking about the platform in general and your network, how you've got a geo-redundant network, so you've got triple redundancy failover and so forth. So it's a very solid platform. But I think Andy's right too in going in and saying, look, we can bring this connectivity in with the PMS system, or we can connect into your PMS system via our partner DuVoice. We can actually get rid of your PRIs, get some high-speed internet in here. That may even lead to doing, some kind of, Wi-Fi umbrella there too, or, some type of other types of services with regard to networking, if you have that expertise. Or you can also, sub that out to another provider too. But the point is getting in the door and talking about your technology and what you do, and you're a service provider, and you're able to come in and generally save them money, being able to save them money on their costs and give them more capability that may be attractive to some of their their guests that stay there. I got to tell you, I was in a company before called Vinculum Communications, and we happened to be an international 214 licensed carrier. So we got international destinations very, very cheap, and we ran billions of minutes a year through our network. Well, one thing that we did with our retail platform called VinTalk, we put custom dial translations together for hotels, so they could advertise, because maybe they had, maybe it was maybe they had more Hispanic guests, or guests from Germany, or guests from some foreign country that visited their hotel more often than other types of guests. So they put custom dial translations and advertised free calling to the Netherlands, free calling to, to Mexico during your stay, or buy this plan and get free calling through your phone, which some of those destinations are pretty inexpensive. You're getting way below a penny a minute. So they get upsell, advertise, fill their rooms. At the end of the day, what does a hotel want to do? They just want to fill the rooms. So anything that you can do and talk to help them facilitate filling those rooms is going to be music to their ears. So don't be afraid to get creative and talk about these new environments out there and what you can do. Let me get to this next question here. How does this work for office incubator environments where there are a couple of dozen businesses in an office suite, all being answered by a single operator front desk? Again, I think that would apply. We're just talking about low volume But are you talking about, this came in from Sean. So Sean, you may want to, I think.
Hey, Jason, I'm sorry to butt in. This is Eric.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah, I don't think this really applies to that particular scenario, mainly because, the DuVoice solution hooks into the PMS, which is used specifically by hospitality industry properties. But we do have another solution for that, which, we can talk to Sean about offline.
Okay, sounds good. And I didn't know if Sean was going at, with the special hospitality user seat pricing. I didn't know if he was going that direction or the other one. So, okay, so we got it.
So I also can add to a little bit because we do something unique. We can handle more than one PMS coming into the DuVoice solution at a time. And so let's say you do have a property, typically smaller, and they have a PMS. And so a hotel, maybe they have 2 hotels in the same block by the same owner. You can have one DuVoice for 2 different hotels. And so it's a little, I would certainly like to talk to you more about it if that is the case. Sometimes it makes sense to have one DuVoice. Sometimes it doesn't. It kind of depends on the size of the property. So.
Okay. So the next question here is, does Andy have any idea how many minutes a typical hotel uses per month?
I have no idea. And typically, because I'm not on the PBX side, you guys are on, the phone system side, or the dealers that I'm dealing with on the PBX side, and so I do not.
Eric, have you heard anything in your years of being in the business?
I don't have specific numbers. For most multi-tenant kind of residential and hotel, it's typically 1 channel to 30. I don't know about specific numbers though.
Okay. But you know what? I'll try to gather some of that information for you, Mark. Okay? We'll try to get that. Okay. Well, that looks like that was the last question. I want to thank Andy for bringing his presentation to us today and being informative about the hospitality industry. I want to thank everybody for attending. Again, Emily will get this sent out to you, the recording sent out to you with the slide deck and the link to the request form. We want to thank you all for attending and look forward to having you on the next SkySwitch University webinar series. Take care. Have a great day.